frequency. It's all about frequency today, how we create our reality through understanding energy, vibration, and frequency, and how to acclimate to frequency that is in alignment with higher purpose, your soul's higher purpose. Today it's going to be a fascinating show with Kristen, Miss Mash. She's in the driver's seat today on ATP Media. Stay tuned.
You got to accentuate the positive. You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
G'day, and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive. Oh gosh, my computer is just not so slow. I'm trying to get this organized. Did that intro come on straight away, or was it delayed for you guys as well?
It delayed a little. It's
my computer. But hello, everyone. Karen Swain here. You're listening to ATP Media on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, syndicated radio, all over the place, streaming on about 8 platforms today, the live show. But so Kristen, Miss Mash, is in the hot seat today. The times have changed. So for people listening in the Southern Hemisphere, we are on an hour earlier today. Maybe that's why you haven't shown up, because I know we've got quite a few Aussies and New Zealanders that show up for the live. You might not have known that we normally go 10:30 Sydney time, 9:30 Queensland. It's now 9:30 and 8:30 in New Zealand, even earlier. But I'm going to let Kristen do her thing and take it away. Kristen, introduce, I guess.
Thanks, Karen. I guess I'm doing Karen's thing, but I'll do it instead. So I just want to let you know, Karen, that I really appreciate this opportunity that you give me to, practice doing these interviews. And it's not practice anymore. It's the real thing. And I met a really cool, beautiful human last week. Well, it's been about 2 weeks now at the Conscious Life Expo. And on the Elevate show a couple weeks ago, we talked about me attending that. And I met this woman named Leslie Zerman. And I'm just going to briefly go over her bio while you guys get to look at her smiling face. Leslie Zerman is the creator and facilitator of the Divine Harmonic, a living field of divine intelligence that supports balance, coherence, and embodied awakening. Her path into this work has unfolded through years of devotion, spiritual inquiry, and a series of profound transformative experiences. And I cannot wait to hear more about her deeper spiritual journey that began long before your work became public, Leslie. Is that right?
Yes. I actually just kind of stepped out into the world over a year ago with the Divine Harmonic.
Wow, that recent. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll just tell you guys really quickly. I'll tell you my side of the story, how I met Leslie. So I was at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles 2 weekends ago, and I was running the booth for Portal to Ascension, Neil Gore's team. They've got the New Living Expo coming in a few weeks. And so I was just there to promote it for them. And looking kitty corner across the pathway there in this huge ballroom full of vendors, I just kept catching the eye of this beautiful woman. And my first thought was, I know her. Where do I know her from? Where did we go to school together? Like, not just like, oh, she looks kind of familiar. I wonder if I know her. It was, I know her from somewhere. And didn't you keep catching my eye as well? And was it the first day or the second day when we finally introduced each other?
I think it was the second day, and I kept looking over and I thought, that feels like a childhood friend or like a really old friend, maybe not from this lifetime. You just look so familiar to me, and I felt such a strong connection with you, Kristen. And it's so nice to be here with you today and sharing this space and each being able to share about our journey.
Yeah, it is really exciting. So Leslie was there in a booth and with these beautiful pull-up signs all about the Divine Harmonic. And I'd love to just see what you want to give a brief overview of what that is before we dive deep today.
Yeah. So, I can go ahead and start sharing how it actually came to me
I
because
love that. Thank you. Yeah.
I feel like this has been lifetimes in the making, lifetimes of practice for this lifetime. And about 4 years ago, I was with a friend and we were doing something called CAP. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a Kundalini activation process. And I looked over at her and I said, I'm going to take a nap. And she said, Take a nap. I said, Yeah, I'm going to take a nap. I'm really tired. And so I closed my eyes, and a few minutes in, all of a sudden this golden orb came to me, and I said, What are you? And it said, I'm the heart of creation. And it merged into me. And all of a sudden I started moving my hands and I was asking, What am I doing? And the message was, You're an orchestrator of the sound of creation that has no sound at all. And I thought, why am I being made an orchestrator of something that has no sound at all? But now I realize, over the years of the divine harmonic manifesting itself the way it has and gaining momentum and my understanding going deeper about it, that there is a sound to creation. And we can actually, when we raise our frequency, hear the angels sing. We can hear the movement of the void or the quantum field or the energy of creation, whatever you want to call it. And all of that is really an experience we can create for ourselves. So over the last couple years, handful of years, the Divine Harmonic has been shared with small to larger groups of people, but I was never doing anything consistently. And then last year, January time, I got a significant push to put myself out into the world, which I was actually avoiding being seen, probably because of lifetimes of sharing different things and the outcome to sharing those things. And it was a big enough push to have me start doing groups. And then over the last year, monthly, I've done now 3 different programs and ended up at the Conscious Life Expo with you just a week.
Yeah. Okay. So I came to the Conscious Life Expo from here in Salt Lake City. So it was like a 10-11 hour drive for me. I got to stay part of the way in Vegas with my brother, which was awesome. But you're not from LA either. So where are you from? And is this where you do these transmissions and your gatherings and things like that? Like, talk about where you're at right now, where you live.
So about 4 years ago, I was still living in Chicago, and I was called to move to Mount Shasta. So I've been here the last 4 years, going through very deep processes to prepare me to bring the Divine Harmonic to the world. So I work with individuals, doing private sessions, online and in person, and also work with groups in Shasta and around the world.
So Chicago, Shasta. I have been to the beautiful little, is it a town, village, city of Shasta? That is vastly different than when I've been to Chicago. Like, did you see that coming? Like, tell us about that.
So I didn't. For the last 10 years, I've been coming to Shasta, and I've been part of a community called the Stargate Experience. And I used to come here, and it would be like days of intensives, right? 4 days. And at the end of each day, I would just be exhausted and have to process. And the last time I came here before I moved here, it was different. It was kind of like the mountain was reaching out to me and giving me a hug. And at night, I would literally walk miles back and forth from the venue. And it was a significantly different experience. And it felt like I was kind of being drawn here like the pull of a magnet.
What was so the mountain was reaching out? I mean, okay, so I'll just get into it because we can talk about anything, especially with all these people that follow us. I mean, that mountain, that's where Telos is. That's where those divine beings have been hiding out or coming and going, and you see those ventricular. Oh my gosh, I can't even say it. The clouds. What, like, how did it speak to you? Because I had, my own experience those times I've been up there for different retreats or stopovers on my way. Like, it's reached out to you?
Yeah, so I have a very strong connection with the beings in the inner city of Shasta, which is where they're in the mountain. And I think that I'm not quite sure how far it extends, but it's a crystalline city underneath the earth, and essentially that's where the Lemurians went. Some of them, when Lemuria went under. So, and you have galactics coming in and out of the mountain, and we see ships above the mountain all the time. Um, but it's Shasta is actually still a duality at its finest. You have some people who have lived here for decades and don't really consider it a spiritual place. And then you have many who come here for a spiritual experience. So it's a very interesting mix.
Okay. Well, then it was calling to you and you kept going, and then you left Chicago to move there. Like, how did that all transpire?
Yeah, so we'll just back up a little bit here if we
Oh,
can.
do it. Yeah.
So I spent 30 some odd years working in human resources and hiring people for companies. So my experience was really honing me to understand the human condition, which is kind of funny because this is all about the human condition, right? And how we deprogram ourselves, release the distortions, the limiting belief systems, anything that may be prohibiting us from having an experience of our own true nature, of the essence of who we really are. So it's been an interesting segue. It was actually a great training ground for me, corporate America, and being in a position where I was working with humans every day and with something so sensitive and important as making a job change. So it was really, like I mentioned, a great training ground for me in being able to relate to people and understand what they're going through and their needs. And about when I moved to Shasta, so like I mentioned, I was called to the mountain during that intensive. And funny enough, I had already packed my place up in Chicago. And I thought I was moving to another building in Chicago, but it wasn't happening. And I was like, what's even happening here? Then it was suggested to me that the mountain was calling me. And I had that feeling. And this was during COVID, where you couldn't find a car, you couldn't find a place to live. All of a sudden, everything that was accessible to us before disappeared. Maybe not everything, but many things, right? So I thought, well, I don't really want to move to a small town. And then it was suggested to me, well, maybe you consider moving there temporarily. And I thought, that's a possibility. And the next day I had a place to live.
The very next day?
The next day. And what's interesting is, right, there were such a limit of cars. So I go to the car dealer. It's the end of December. And I said, I'd like to buy a car. And they're like, well, when are you expecting it to arrive? When do you need it? I said, February 1st. And they said, well, we can't promise that. I thought, and I just got this message, it'll be there. So come February 1st, sure enough, the dealer calls me and says, how are you? I go, you tell me, what's up with my car? And he's like, I don't know how it happened, but it's here. And I thought to myself, I do. It's like with any of us, when we're meant to be somewhere, everything aligns. It's a very easy process. There is no pushing, it's just a flow. Even driving across all the snow states from Chicago to Shasta during February, I asked for not one flake of snow, and I didn't get one until we arrived in Shasta the next day. We got about a foot of snow.
Well, and Shasta itself is quite a higher elevation. I mean, the mountain is very high, but how high? What's the elevation of the city? Do you know?
I think
Like
it's
3,000,
I
four
think it may
thousand?
even be close to 4,000. I'm not quite sure.
Actually, I think I looked it up. It's similar to Salt Lake City, so I think it's 4,500. 4,500 feet above sea level. So that's pretty. That's snow. Yeah. And was it very different than the Chicago snows and everything? Did you love
Yeah,
it?
it definitely is, because in a big city, it's like white for a few minutes, and then the city effect kind of changes the color and
Yeah.
snow starts to look a
Yeah.
little bit dingy. But yeah, I mean, it was magical. And it made me laugh because I always like to say, you can't make this shit up. It's like these things, these miracles, these pathways open up for us.
Right.
And it's when we're in the flow. So it was just a confirmation for me, Kristen, that like I was doing the right thing. And I ended up landing here and working my corporate America job for another year remotely. And then I got the message, it's time to leave your job. And that was 3 years ago. And I volunteered for a layoff and I haven't looked back.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so cool. Okay, so Susan is asking a question here for you. It says, Leslie, have you met non-human beings at Shasta in person or more energetically? So fascinating.
Susan, that's a great question. So, more energetically, and they've worked with me quite a bit. When I arrived in Shasta, Susan, um, I wasn't quite sure what I was in for. And we'll say for the first 6 weeks, it was a deep purge. And the support that I got, the beings that show up for me here, um, there's nothing like it. And the frequencies here really can assist us in a significant acceleration. So I haven't seen them physically, although the mountain has been asking me to bring groups to the mountain, which I do plan on doing, and opening up interdimensional doorways. So I feel like it's on the menu. It's going to be coming as we raise our frequency, the opportunity to be able to see what we kind of consider is beyond the veil, which I feel like is something we create ourselves. Um, that will become more accessible to us.
It's going to be, I was privileged to be able to do attend a retreat in Shasta. It was a small group, about 8, 10, 10, 12 of us total, I think, with the facilitators. And it was in 2019. So before, the big shutdown of everything. And we had a facilitator who took us through a meditation into the mountain. He took us to a very special spot, and we had prepped over a couple days to be able to do this. And for myself, I have a spirit guide that showed up. She's a Sasquatch, and she toured me around once we got in that portal. So I've wanted to go back. So I guess I'm coming to Shasta when you do that. So, okay, I want to think about this and put this in time space perspective. So that was 2020, and then you said that this divine harmonic has come to you in the last year, but there's got to be some things leading up to 2020 before you trusted and followed that. And then I'd also love to hear about the last few years before it all showed up with the golden orb and the and the sound of creation that has no sound. So where do you want to go talking about all that, sharing that with
Well,
us?
um, It was actually 2021 that I moved. So I've been here 4.5 years now. It was towards the end of like 2021.
Okay.
Um, so we were about half or three quarters of the way through COVID, just to kind of put a benchmark for people, because I think people kind of talk about dates as being pre-COVID, post-COVID as kind of a benchmark now.
Yeah.
Um, and so what happened is I got here, and like I mentioned, I worked the corporate America job for another year, but I was guided to just go deeper into meditation. So if you back up about even at the age of 8, I was given my first mantra by the Transcendental Meditation group, um, led by the Maharishi Yoga. And it was like, or yogi, and I thought it was a ploy the children's meditation. They gave you a mantra and you were supposed to use it to clean your room. So I didn't do it. I wasn't going to go along with that.
Wait,
Anything.
okay, back up. You were 8 years old? What was this program? What was this cool thing?
So
Even if you thought it was to make you clean your room.
I could have sworn it was, but that was my perspective as a child. Anything that tried to move me to clean my room was not something that I was going to agree to. Um, so my mother was a transcendental meditator, and so she meditated for 50 years. She even talked about at some point being able to levitate. And I used to ask her, I would say, are you meditating to feel better? Are you meditating to connect to God, to source, to spirit, whatever people want to call the greater power that is? Um, and she said to connect to God, which I thought was amazing. And I know that my mother's been a yogi in a past life. And it's just interesting how we incarnate with different intentions and with different programs and patterns and things to clear in a lifetime, because she had resistance to spirituality on many levels, although she was an avid meditator. So I was introduced to the mantra, and time passed, and my MO throughout my life was just really to have a good time. And then at some point, it was like maybe around 2011,
Okay.
I remember looking up from my computer, and because I've been working remotely for decades before other people had, and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been asleep. What's going on here? Did you ever
Yeah.
have that feeling?
Yeah. Oh, uh, yeah, mine was a slower awakening until it wasn't. Because I was questioning. I think I saw the edges, of the curtain, but,
Mm,
hadn't felt that it was safe to pull it back.
mm,
So, yeah, definitely. And I can remember times as a very small child, and I don't know if you know, but some of the listeners do, that I grew up with a heavily religious background in the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I didn't grow up in Utah, which is the Mormon Mecca, but I've lived here for 30 years now. So, but I do remember sitting in the backyard playing with some toys in the sandbox by the strawberry patch. And I say all that because it places me being about 3, 4, 5 years old. And I remember stopping and looking around going, this place is really weird. This place is strange. Why am I here? Because this is so small and it's so big out there. What why am I here? This is weird. And then I kind of snap back into the smell of the strawberry patch drew me back, or something. But yeah, so there's moments of that as a child. And I found that not everybody has that, by the way. A lot of people do, but not everybody has those flashing moments. But um and then my religious background, there is a mysticism to the Mormon church if you dig deep enough, and that's what kept me there for so long, was
mm.
the mystical side. And then I just realized that it's this little teeny mystical side, like this big, and I just wanted it all. So yeah. So that's kind of more, my journey with coming to this kind of stuff. And it's been Well, just over 10 years since I've completely walked away from it all. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I actually did have an experience as a child. I remember looking out at the sky, and you know that moment where the sun is setting and your eyes have to adjust? And I had a thought, I'm not from here.
Ooh.
And all of a sudden, I just whatever it was just this knowing I wasn't from here, and then I just ran off and played. Because again, that was my thing. I just wanted to have fun. And we know the spiritual path. It's, you know, everything is based on perception. However, some of it has gotten a bit intense along the way. And,
Yep.
like we were talking about in 2011, I had that awareness that I had been asleep. And then I started Googling. I started Googling all these things for like 2 days. And then I thought, okay, I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole and I don't want to be in that, but what's happening? And I went into what we call the dark night of the soul. And I remember speaking to an astrologist, and she said to me, so Leslie, your chart is cataclysmic. And I was like, oh, okay. What does that mean in astrological terms? And she goes, well, you may need to go on medication. I go, what? And she goes, well, I did look forward in your chart. And about 4 years from now, it shows that you do get some relief. And I thought, oh, 4 years isn't that far off. And I will tell you, those were the 4 most intense years of my life. And it wasn't just a seed that was planted by her. It was, yeah, it was a very dark time. And I feel like as humans, we don't know the light without the dark. We live in duality where comparison is necessary. Like we don't know what one thing is without the opposite. So traversing those days, nights, years of being in that energy was very useful to me. And I remember it started to gently get easier and easier. And during that time, before then, for a decade, I'd been going to sweat lodges, and nothing even compared to what I went through during those 4 years. But again, I do feel like things happened for us, not to us. And it was a great opportunity for me to really dive deep into my shadow and understand that we're all actually made of light and dark.
Yeah. We are definitely, but it can take some of us time to to realize that, and to realize that the light and dark is there for a reason. So you went through that and you had a gentle release come out of, and
Well, it was intense for a very long time. And then all of a sudden, I remember one day things started to gently shift, and it
uh-huh.
wasn't something significant. But then I started to really feel my own suffering. And
Oh,
and I was seeking at that time and wanted the relief from that, because the intensity was able to reveal to me an inner world where I started to have the realization that the only way out is in, and it's an inside job. And when we go inward and we're able to witness ourselves and be able to be with what is, we have a very unique opportunity to liberate ourselves from it. And that actually was a necessary experience for me to have, and to also come to that realization, because the divine harmonic is a frequency of the golden frequencies of liberation. So if you don't mind, should we start diving into the
yeah,
a little
let's
bit?
dive into that because
Okay. So the divine harmonic, like we talked about, the golden orb came. I was an orchestrator of no sound at all, and really didn't know what that meant. So, and it continues to reveal itself to me, as everything does. But what it is it's a coherent field of divine intelligence. It's overseen by the Elohim, which are, from my experience, the architects of the universe, and oversee many things that happen in the universe. And there's a group of beings that I work with called the Golden Ones. And they've identified themselves as beings from different collectives throughout the universe that come together to create a council that oversees the divine harmonics for the earth, and and throughout the universe. So they support me in creating this container where we relax and receive these higher frequencies, which can work with us at our foundation. So what they do is, the more we relax, the more we receive. And the way I see it is, we're filled with programs and patterns, and until we're willing to release something, can we make space for something else? So all we need is a tiny bit of space, a little crack, the light can get in, and it can work its magic. And what happens is we start to relieve ourselves from this suffering, because I do believe we're all suffering on some level, and we can notice it by a pull in our arm, something that's clenching in our heart, a feeling in our stomach, a pain in our back. Our body indicates where we're at, emotionally. Absolutely. It's a great mirror for us. And so what happens is we turn music on, we just go into a state of relaxing and receiving, and spirit meets us where we are. So essentially, I call myself a conduit of source energy. What I'm also doing is connecting to the field and moving it in a way where it creates that balanced energy, where people feel held and can really move into a deeper state. And the experiences people have runs the gamut. And I also believe that whenever we're bringing forward anything, it's for ourselves first. So I always have a great experience myself to share after a session.
Yeah. Well, and then how lucky am I that while we were there at the Conscious Life Expo, I got to have 2 experiences with you
Yes.
in this field. So her booth was, everybody, her booth was set up that she had some meditation chairs back behind the table, and it was actually quite a large booth, and beautiful colors with the purples and the divine harmonics, and her artwork is amazing. We were talking about that yesterday, her and I. But I got to sit down and put on a set of noise canceling headphones with a couple other people. And I will tell you, when I did this, it was the third and final day of the expo. I was starting to clean up my booth. Some of the other people were cleaning stuff up. And, Leslie and her divine young people that were the little freshies that were assisting her, come, Kristen, come and sit. We have a spot. So I got to sit, put on these headphones on this comfortable meditation chair. And I say that it was the end because I was a little tired, the noise and the hustle and the bustle for 3 days. And it took me a minute, maybe a minute and a half. And then Zoom, I was all alone in a big, vast, empty hall, and I was sitting in the corner in a meditation chair, just in this big hall. And I just sat there and took it in and went, okay, there's something for me here. And it was just about 2 or 3 songs, I believe, that I got to cycle through that were your selection, and you can talk about your process in a minute. But oh my gosh, totally relaxed, calmed me, just made me feel at peace and energized enough to get through the rest of the expo. But I did feel completely like everything dropped away. It was just a large empty space, which was what I was really kind of craving at the time anyway. So So that was the one. Do you want me to tell about the second experience as well?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So this was a transmission. That's what this was that I went to, a transmission, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And we had one of the breakout rooms, and there were 20, 30 people in there. And I was a minute or two late, which, apologies. But, I got up there, found the room, quietly sat down on my seat, and most everybody else in the room was already in a meditative state. And I could see Leslie at the front, and there was beautiful music playing. And um, I kind of thought, oh, maybe this is like a little opening, and then she'll start talking and teaching something. But then a second song came on. And so I thought, oh, okay. And so I relaxed back in my chair, and I did peek at you a couple of times, Leslie, and I saw that your hands did some things and you had a few different facial expressions. But for the most part, it was, quite still. And then when I realized, okay, this is the process, I let myself go. And um, I didn't have much to share at the end when people were sharing, because I did one of those things where I shut down and I left. And I haven't trained myself to always know where I go when I go through deeper meditations or a transmission like this. But I do know that it was a game changer for me that day. And I was just centered completely all the way down after that. So, and I don't know how long it lasted. To be honest with you, an hour, 45 minutes, a half an hour. I don't know, because I left. I mean, I was in my chair, but I left just for people listening. So, yeah, it was incredible. And that was not with any context, not really knowing anything about your process, what you do, other than, seeing your beautiful glow from across the hall in Expo. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your experience. Yeah, I mean, people have all sorts of experiences. Um, the energy definitely meets each of us where we are, which is nice. So, whatever we need in that moment to be able to potentially move towards releasing something that will give us some relief and help us relax enough. Because what I found is, our nervous system is holding all of these programs, patterns, belief systems, and vibrating at a certain level. And when we're able to relax the nervous system, it can gently start to release. So it doesn't have to be some intense process, it can be gentle. And these higher states are moving towards being more sustainable too, because the divine harmonic carries a stabilizing frequency. And because these frequencies are intended for liberation, and, um, my experience, which I guess we can talk about at some point here in the next few minutes,
Yeah.
of liberation is to be free. Free of what? Free of our programs, patterns, limiting belief systems. And I believe that's the source of all of our suffering,
Yeah.
because it really, they run the show, and a lot of them are unconscious to us, which is why sometimes we'll say, oh, that's the way I am, but I don't know why I'm like this. It's because we don't know why, because it's unconscious. And then as these things become more conscious to us, we have this unique opportunity to potentially let these things go. So
Yeah.
it's, to me, it's so inspiring that we're starting to each experience the potential of the direction that humanity is going in. And that really is what fuels me to bring this to the world and to share this with people. Um,
Yeah. Well, it says here, Kelly Neckbrock, 8123. I have done the Divine Harmonic many times, and it has definitely had a big impact on me. The
mhm,
energies are just beautiful and very supportive.
mhm.
So, yeah, that's just echoing what you're saying on how it can have an effect on us. So, go into then how it all came together then.
So, my experience
Yes.
on August 24th was something that I felt like, and I feel like it's the same for all of us. That which we are seeking is seeking us. So if we call ourselves a seeker, what are we seeking? We're seeking really ourselves. That's my experience of being a seeker. And on August 24th, I came home after doing a group session, and the electricity went out. So I thought, oh, I'll just sit here and meditate. And all of a sudden, it started thunderstorming. And I hadn't ever experienced a thunderstorm in Mount Shasta before. And I was laying down and I could feel the thunder electricity moving through my field. And all of a sudden, I had an awareness that a light was coming through me. And the way I can describe it is God took a breath through me. And I started laughing and I thought, is this what I've been waiting for? And I had a realization of God. And I just call it another experience of being human. And just had a lot of information coming through during that moment as to all the things that were presented to me on my journey that may or may not have been true, which there's a lot that's not true. And one thing that I can share is that no one is ever omniscient or all knowing, and we never become anything fully anything on the earth, because when we do, we actually leave our body. So, and that there is no end goal. And knowing that there's no end goal, that we continue our evolution kind of takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can see that. So, uh, but then, what keeps me going, right? So, do I just let it go and go, I'll never get there? And so, or are you talking about also these ones that say, I have all the answers for you and I'm the
Yeah.
guru and
Yeah. I mean, so no one has all the answers, from my experience. Now, other people may have a different experience. I honor where everyone is at in their journey, whatever their experience is their experience, and everyone's going to have a different one, right? But somehow we always know when we hear the truth, when we feel into what someone's saying. That's a great litmus test to know whether it's actually the truth or not. And then sometimes the mind gets involved and says, oh, that can't be true. The mind's always good for statements like that, right?
right.
But I found that when we actually say, okay, I'm not going to put so much effort into this, we start a more significant acceleration, because I found the non-doing, or the moments in between, the in-between moments of doing, because we're programmed to do as humans and to keep moving and to bigger, faster, stronger, better. And what happens if we decide just to be? In those states of being, I have found to experience the most significant shifts. And the experience I had on August 24th has left me in a state of non-attachment since then, which is great, because like I use the word great, but for a whole week afterwards, I couldn't even use any descriptive words because they didn't make sense to me anymore. And slowly I started to have a personality again, and understood that
Wow.
if I use the word interesting all the time, it's going to be really boring and no one's going to want to listen to it. So I need to start using words again that people relate to. So when I said the word great, I thought, well, I don't feel great. I feel neutral. To me, non-attachment neutrality is freedom. That's liberation. Now, it's just one level of it, because from again my own experience, and I would love to hear others, and I've met many enlightened beings in this lifetime that claim many, many things. However, here's the thing. We only continue to grow, right? So my experience still probably actually definitely has not fully revealed itself to me because there's never fully anything on the earth. But as it does continue to reveal itself to me,
Mhm.
more information, more knowledge, more wisdom will come through from it that I can share with others. And what I do feel that's important about sharing is that as each of us has an experience like this, because we're all connected through the morphogenetic field of humanity, we actually open the door for another so others can walk through. So when people are sharing with me an experience, I always know I'm there for a reason and I'm listening intently and I know there's gold in it for me. So, I feel like moments like this of sharing, they're so rich.
Yeah, that's why I'm drawn to watching podcast shows like this, where it's more of a sharing. That's what drew me to Karen's shows all the time. Is her the way that she is having a conversation with the guests because they're sharing back and forth. I really do love that, and actually, I mean, I'm curious about what somebody else is going through as well. I love to hear other people's stories. So I guess there's a little bit higher purpose to that then. So okay, so now I want to touch on this. You're mentioning August 24th. So this was just a few months ago.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then you had that huge, what did you call it? God realization with the thunderstorm. And you'd been working with the divine harmonic before then? When was the golden orb? When did that come in relation to that?
So that happened 4 years ago,
Yeah.
just over 4 years ago. And then it percolated and I worked with some groups and did some sessions, but I hadn't really put myself out there in a significant way, like having a website like I do now and a calendar where people could actually schedule. It was like if I run into people and it resonates with them, then something would happen. It's kind of like that too now. It's like I feel like whoever is drawn to it is drawn to it, and whoever isn't, that's okay too. All roads can lead to Rome. I have found though that there are some like less windy roads we can traverse, and the divine harmonic has the ability to uplift us. And I didn't touch on one key thing is that I did mention that it's a stabilizing frequency, but it starts to assist us in having a higher and higher threshold or starting point. So we start to have a more sustainable lived experience of being in a high frequency.
Well, check this out. I don't mean to cut you off, but Suli here says, I have attended 12 transmissions from Leslie, and my being has been altered in so many beautiful ways. It changes me permanently, not just a temporary feel-good sensation. I highly recommend. So do you know who this person is?
Yes, I
A
know
little shout
Sue
out?
very well.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's just echoing exactly what you're saying. So it's not just a temporary relief. It's not something to just get me through the expo. I was altered permanently at some there is what you're saying.
Yeah, because these frequencies are frequencies of liberation. And what they do is they give us an opportunity to really shift in a way that is sustainable more into those newer golden frequencies that we haven't experienced before as we experience them more and more. Like anything, it's a process. Is there a silver bullet out there? I haven't run into it before, but like I mentioned, there are some straighter roads to get to where we feel like we want to be. And for me, it's about how we can relieve ourselves from suffering and we can feel freedom and live the life and co-create the life we really want to have. And to me, the Divine Harmonic has been a great gift to me. And now I get to share it with others. Like I mentioned, it supports me in such a significant way. And my dog left his body about 3 months ago, and he comes through to the Divine Harmonic now when I give
Aw.
sessions to support the container.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then what? Okay. So you and I have talked about this independently. What's it like on your end then? So there is a room full of people and we're all having our own experiences, but what's going on with Leslie up there at the front?
Good question. What is going on with me? Um, so I'm paying attention to the field a bit, but I'm also in my own experience. So like I mentioned, the golden ones are always there, and I experience a lot of gold, almost like it can be like threads coming into the room and weaving into figure eights. And then also just the golden energies of source pouring into the room and just really bright. A lot of times Jesus will emerge from that light, and he's a very close being to me, and walks with me on this journey in this lifetime. Um, and then all of a sudden, I think one of the last sessions of my last program, Jesus came through holding my dog, and my dog was like, "Let me go," and like flew into my arms. And I
Oh,
mean, we never know what's going to happen. I mean, to me, I had no idea that would
yeah.
happen. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel it's an example of like we're being supported in so many ways, and a lot of it we're not even able to see it. And then when we start
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
it, as we raise our frequency, our inner vision starts to emerge more too. So many gifts can come out, each of our own personal gifts, our soul gifts that we bring, that are latent gifts that have not revealed themselves, can become more apparent, tangible, and lived. Yeah, just so many things happen. And I just continue to witness it. And all I say is thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, because I get to experience this and then also witness other people experiencing it.
That's that. Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so then clarify for me and the audience as well. And you've got a couple of people that are here, chiming in with their questions and things like that. But um, uh, describe, like, are these online? Are they only in person? Like, do we all need to go to Shasta to do this? Like, what's I mean, I'll go to Shasta at a heartbeat if I can, but
Please, everyone come to Shasta. That
yeah,
actually would be a lot of fun.
yeah.
Um, so it's online and in person. Sometimes I have a space here where monthly I was doing in person and online. And now I've been doing more online. I have a program coming up on March 18th. It's returning to our natural design. It's a 3-session series where we dive deeper into releasing and working at our foundational level to create that fertile ground for what I call embodiment. Embodiment of what? Of some people call it our superconscious, our soul, our higher self. And those sessions last about an hour and 15 minutes, hour to an hour and 30 minutes. And then I'm also putting together, which I haven't gotten all the details yet, a retreat in Shasta. It looks like it's probably going to be in August.
Oh, yeah. That's August has got to be a significant year for or time of the year for you now, right? So
Magic.
this coming August. What'd
Yeah,
you say? Magic what?
the magic month.
Yes, yes. Um, okay, so we actually are on a radio show, and I believe we need to do a station ID. And I'm going to just break there because I have a ton more questions, but I haven't done the station ID before, so I'm going to reach out to Karen to to help us facilitate that.
Well, the station ID has my name on it, and
Yeah.
because you're doing the show, because I've got a recorded station ID, so we'll just do it. We'll just chat. You're listening to ATP Media, and the host today is Kristen Mismash. Karen Swain is in the background listening to all this. Kristen met our guest today at a conference and resonated with her and said, let's put her on the show because she's got something to share. So we are on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Networks on 107.7 and 105.3. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Here we go. I'm putting up Elevate, 105.3 FM syndicated radio, streaming all over the world through the syndicated radio networks. And I've been interested to listen to your chat, ladies. Kristen said she's got a million questions. There's a couple of things I wanted to say, Leslie. CAP and the Stargate, two things that I have done. Well, actually, a friend of mine used to date Venant, who created the CAP experience. Did you do it with Venant?
I didn't. I was doing it online with one of his practitioners.
Okay. Yeah. So I've had a few friends do it and I've experienced it. And the Stargate experience, Brigitte and Julianne came out to Australia and they did some sessions in the Blue Mountains, which is about an hour or so away from my place. And so I went up there and met them too. So it was interesting at the beginning of this, you mentioned both those and I'm like, I'm related to, I've been to both of those because Bennett is actually an Australian Japanese guy. He's actually an Australian guy. And just listening to your talk, Kristen and I have spoken on Elevate about healing and different forms of healing. And I shared that it's always about meditating. And all these systems are really about going within. Like you were using somebody else's system, the Stargate system and the CAP system, and yet you found your own resonance, your own gift to the world. And I think that that's, what all the systems offer. They offer you a return to yourself, a return to your soul plan, a return, like even Kristen, when you were saying you were doing the harmonic resonance, the thing you found yourself in a hall, like it just connects you to your own guidance. And that's really what meditation is all about, to get you out of the subconscious programming and back into connection with your soul. Yeah.
But I can't sit in meditation all day. I mean, I've got to do the laundry and the dishes and I've got to fuel my body. And so, the meditations, hopefully we get the information and the transmission to carry us through. That's what the whole point is. Yes.
Did you want to comment on that, Leslie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like everything can become a meditation.
Absolutely.
And even when we are doing our dishes, if we're conscious of doing our dishes and we're observing it, it actually becomes a meditation. And that's why I always tell people, it's like, meditating, if people feel like they don't want to sit there, close their eyes, even just listen to music, and even the Stargate plays music because it really helps us go deeper and to relax. And what does it do? It engages the mind. And so it's, if we're able to even walk and, observe our own walking, it becomes meditation. So I feel like everything's an opportunity to meditate, Kristen.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mish was saying, apparently doing dishes is a form of meditation, said a man, lol. But I will echo that I have had some of my most profound meditations or personal releases doing the dishes, because it is a meditative state for me. That hot, steamy, bubbly water, the hands doing rote things, so I'm sort of out. But I also think the water is this incredible conductor. I mean, it is a conductor of electricity. We all know that. And so I do find, people that get a lot of information in the shower. Well, I don't think it's a coincidence. I agree with you, So yeah. Well, okay. So these are some of my questions then, is that you and I have chatted off and on over the last 2 weeks since you're my best friend. You're my new best friend. And and you mentioned that you have been in some really cool places in the world. Like you've been to India. And so you've been a seeker. You've been doing journeys. You've been doing all kinds of things. Do you want to tap on any of those experiences that you could share with us that led you to where you are?
Yeah. So
I just love hearing these. So please.
I've traveled quite a bit, and I always feel like I'm guided to go certain places. And for me, and I feel like for everyone, when we're guided to go somewhere, there's something there for us, especially a lot of these ancient cities and sacred sites that hold so much frequency, divine wisdom. And when we go there, it's like we connect and we tap into something ancient. And it really can elicit a deeper awakening. I've been to Egypt twice. I've spent over 6 months in India, and will at some point will be at some point here. I'm not quite sure when. I'll be guided to take a group to the Himalayas. Yeah, and even in England and Stonehenge and just these sacred places where ceremony was held, where these ancient culture societies, spiritual groups really left behind so many gifts for us. Italy, and I'm actually going to be spending quite a bit of time there this summer. I feel like we all have had past lives, and these places, carry memories for us and really carry gifts for us. I love to travel, and I really just go with my guidance wherever I feel like I'm meant to be. And in the past, a lot of times it's been to a Stargate intensive because, like I mentioned, I don't know if I had shared, I've been with the Stargate for over a decade now. So they've really seen me through a good portion of my process.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing, powerful tool and path to walk. And the Stargate experience, I highly, highly recommend it.
Okay.
And they're actually out of Shasta. They live in a place called Weed, about 10 minutes away now. But and Alcazar, the being that comes through them, had just shared recently that the Divine Harmonic functions similarly to the Stargate.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and ultimately, they're all high frequency experiences, leading us, guiding us, kind of almost luring us to be in a higher state. And I feel like that really is, for me, it's been the focus. How does this feel? Is this light? Is this supportive? And if it is, then I would continue to do it. If it isn't, then I say thank you, that maybe that's not for me. But all of the traveling has just added to my connection and what my drive and desire was to know myself. And like I mentioned, I had that experience on August 24th. For me, it was just another phase of being human and knowing more of who I am.
Yeah. Thanks for answering that for me, because it illustrates some of our paths. So I've been able to travel a little bit. I got to go in 2019 to Australia, and I got to actually meet Karen and stay at her flat for a bit. And I had a very spiritual experience at Uluru in the center, the big rock. Oh my gosh, I would live there. I've been to Italy, and there were parts of Italy where I felt I was at home, but I hadn't been doing any of this work like you guys are talking about with the Stargate, mostly just stuff on my own, because I'm a widow. My husband passed away not long after that, but just before I'd gone to Australia, but between Italy and Australia, he passed away. But he wasn't into any of these kinds of things, and so it was just more a path on my own. And I've been to Stonehenge too. We'll have to chat about that, but because I had some cool things go on in England. But I have to say too, not all of us have those opportunities. We've got family situations or funds, or maybe we can't travel for other reasons. But this was one of the things that I found was so interesting when I've been doing Karen Swain's online group for at least 10 years. So as long as you've been doing the Stargate, right? I've been doing some online groups with Karen, and it has always been through Zoom. And uh, and so I was very familiar with it before everybody else did during, the big shutdown and everything. And a lot of people I recall were complaining, oh, I'm going to do this meditation, or I have to do this class, or I have this thing and I have to do it on Zoom. And I just don't feel like we can be so connected, or I have to teach this class now. And it's something spiritual. Some of the friends that I know that are facilitators, they were really concerned. But I recall that we noticed in the group with Karen that, when I go in a group and I'm in person, I become a part of that collective experience, even if I'm having my own. And the frequencies of the entire room can alter, shift, change, everything that's going on. But when I'm sitting home, like I am here with you, and even if I'm on this call with 20, 30 people, you could lead the meditation or guide me or do the transmission. And sometimes it's a deeper experience, I'll have to tell you, because it is just me being guided to connect directly in. And that doesn't mean that through that quantum entanglement and all of that I didn't connect with the other people on the call. I did. But I'm not going to say it's a better experience, but it was a very deep experience, and I'm really grateful for that too. So yes, you've traveled. I've gotten to travel a little bit. But yeah, we can also just do it. Like you say, you've got these online transmissions that you're going to be doing. I think that's amazing. Although, Mish says here, if I dug a hole from Mount Shasta through the earth, you end up in the ocean near Madagascar. But let's all just dig our way. Maybe we'll bump into the Lemurians. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm curious about the golden ones a little bit more. When you were talking about all of your travels, I mean, did they only really come to you once the golden orb came and these more recent transmissions, or were there elements of them with you in all these beautiful places all over the world? Because you said that they're from different collectives. Yes?
So they are from the different collectives that support humanity: the Melchizedek Collective, the Merlin Collective, the Magdalene Collective, the Sophia Collective, the Hathorian Collective. It goes on and on, the Lyran Collective. So what happened for me is that I could feel these beings around me, and I would see gold, and they just became more apparent to me. And I've had others reflect back to me also their experiences of them and who they are. And Julianne of the Stargate was one person who had come to one of my sessions, and she said they came to me. I met the golden ones introduced themselves to me. So essentially, they had been more of an experience, and they continued to reveal themselves to me. And if I look back on where I'd traveled and what I'd done, in reflecting on those times, they absolutely have been walking with me. Yes, and have been guiding me through my life, maybe not in the magnitude that they do now, because I was at different phases in my journey and was not in a place where they were probably even able to support me at some points, because I wasn't aware enough. And I always like to say, we don't know how aware we are until we realize how unaware we are, and that we get a little more aware, and then we have a little more awareness, and we reflect on that. So, right. So
Yeah.
And when we're in those, moments where we're deep within ourselves, and moving more into kind of that awakening phase, I feel like we're less open to it. At least I was, because I didn't have the awareness. And then all of a sudden, I started to have more clarity on beings around me and the support that I'm receiving.
Oh. So you're better able to recognize it now.
Yeah, and they tend to have different energetic signatures. Hopefully you become the golden orb.
Yeah.
I
Aren't
mean,
we all gold orbs in our core? And that sounds sarcastic, but no, aren't we?
well, maybe not a golden orb, but yeah, I mean, hey, I'm up for the experience. I'm all about
Yeah.
experiences. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's more of an energy, and we're in an embodied experience because we're in a body.
Right.
And so it's just different. But who knows? Maybe another aspect of me is a golden orb. I don't know. um, but yeah, so I just feel like we're here to have experiences, and when we align to opportunities to have a higher frequency experience where it can allow us to go deeper within ourselves, to understand more of who we are, but more so to feel who we are and what's going on. We have a very rare opportunity now that hasn't really, I don't feel like, been accessible to us the way it is in this moment on the earth, to really free ourselves, to liberate ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to pipe in here.
I love
if
your
that's
pipe
okay.
in.
Talking about the golden orbs, and Carol Ann saying, hope you become the golden orb. I'm just having a chat to my mob, as I do when I listen to other people's stories, and they were telling me, and this goes for everybody too, but they were telling me, Leslie, about you, that they've always been with you, but they haven't always been present in your accessibility, in your consciousness, because it wasn't your time to do what you're doing now. And so they stepped forward when you made the decision to share, like when you made so you're doing the Stargate experience or the CAP experience or whatever meditative healing experience that you do. And at some point, this is with all of us too, with everyone, at some point we make a decision. Am I just going to utilize this for me, or am I going to share this with others? Or who am I on the world? Am I a teacher? Am I a transmitter? Am I a channel? Am I a psychic? And how am I going to share that? How am I going to be a part of the shift in this world? And they said once you made that decision, they step forward to be more present in your life. But interestingly enough, I see orbs with my outside eyes all the time. And the golden orbs are usually the ones that belong to the elemental kingdom. Like they're usually connected to the earth. Like I said, I've shared with Kristen and many people, my next door neighbor was a really great gardener, like a really passionate gardener. And she had been gardening one day, and she, walked over to my place and came in the door, and this golden orb followed her in the door. And she really wasn't into this conversation. But when I told her I saw this golden orb following, and I said, like, who are you? And they said, well, I work with her because she works with plants. Yeah, so it's interesting, the gold energy. It can be connected to the earth. But Kristen, you went, oh, what did you?
Well, yeah. So I was at a spiritual retreat, and I was in Otter Creek or Otter Crest, Oregon, which is in the Pacific Northwest as well. And we had gone on a forest through to, the facility, or taken to this beautiful forest for us to explore. And of course, I am, hoping to see with my big, bold, waking eyes an actual
Outside
Sasquatch.
eyes.
Yeah, with my
Me
outside
too.
eyes, the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I'd love to, because I have a guide that is one and another, and I communicate, and they work with me with the world. But anyways, I was being very still and sending out, the vibe and the love that I do when I call them, and I wanted to see one. And I looked up the hill. I was on a path, and there was a hill up here, and it went down here. And I looked up the hill and just stood there, and I saw a golden orb, and it was large, but it was distant, float by. And I was like, and Sasquatch or Bigfoot, however people, believe them to be, they really are the elementals. They're part of the fairy realm. And so when you said, "Oh, the golden orbs and elementals," and I just went, "Yeah,"
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
taken back. So I got excited. I was taken back to that beautiful forest day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
do you
But
see
this,
golden orbs, Leslie?
The golden orb, the heart of creation that came to me was the one that was most pronounced. And periodically I'll see them, but I have a little quick funny story about seeing orbs. One day I was walking down the street in Chicago and I was talking to my guides and I was like, okay, I understand this is a collective awakening, but what's going on? Why can't I see anything? And all of a sudden I saw these orbs around me. And the message was, what would you do if you saw these all the time? And I was like, paying attention only to the orbs, right?
Yeah.
And being in awe of the orbs and really kind of missing everything that's going on in my daily life. So I feel like it comes and goes, but it hasn't been a mainstay for me because it could be a little distracting.
Yeah, definitely can be. Definitely
Yeah.
can. So, man, the time goes fast. Karen always says the time goes fast, and she's right. So, what else do we get to know about you? Like anything else you want to share? Any of your experiences in your travels? Or
I just want to interject here, and the different frequencies and energies that work with us, both as humans and as teachers and as star seeds and as way showers and however you identify, change according to what you intend to do with your life. Like the Golden Orb said, they've always been with you, but they stepped forward when you made the decision. So that's with everyone, whether you're working with the earth energies, like you want to, speak to Sasquatch, see a Sasquatch, or you're gardening. Like my next door neighbor is not into this stuff at all. She was very Catholic. She was very into her religion, but didn't understand my vernacular on all of this. She did love the fact that I said I saw a golden fairy follow her in the room. She loved that. She thought that was great. But they're all there working with us all the time. And it's interesting what you say, Leslie, about seeing them. I said the same to my guides when I was interviewing or having a conversation with a medium who can see spirit as clearly as people. I said to my guides, "Ooh, I want to do that." And they said, "No, you don't." And I said, "Why don't I? Why wouldn't I want to do that?" And they said, "Do you know how distracting that could be? If you saw spirit as clearly as people, you don't know who's human, who's spirit. Do you know how distracting that to navigate this world is hard enough? Try and navigate that." And I thought, oh yeah, that's exactly right. So like you, we can choose. Do I want to see orbs with my eyes? Do I not? Where do we want to put our focus? But we can turn it off and on. I'm completely obsessed with Chris Bledsoe. Do you know who Chris Bledsoe is?
No.
He was an American businessman, and he had an encounter many years ago where he saw like ET beings and orbs and all this sort of stuff. And for 5 years, growing up in the Bible Belt, you can relate to this, Kristen, he tried to share his experiences with people. And he said he went for the 5 years of hell because everyone said he was possessed by the demonic, forces. And he said child services were trying to take his children away because they thought he'd gone insane and all this. So his story is really interesting. So he cries out to the God, the universe, God, he calls it God, I can't take this anymore. Please help me give some evidence of what I'm seeing because everyone thinks I'm crazy. And then this golden lady appeared. You called it the divine of creation. What do you call it again?
The heart of creation.
The heart of creation, yeah. So it's the same energy. It's been called Hathor with the Egyptians, Isis with the Hindus, and Mother Mary, Mother Earth with the Christians. Like it's that same feminine principle that is the heart of creation. And so this being appeared to him and gave him all these prophecies, but also made all the phenomena so he could take photographs of all of it. And anyone that goes to his house can see it with their outside eyes, like made the phenomena real enough for our physical senses to perceive it. And he's had NASA scientists go out there to his property and and skeptics and all sorts of people, and they all get to experience the phenomena with their outside eyes, with their physical eyes. And so that was his agreement with the phenomena, as he calls it, with spirit, with the other dimensions. And yeah, it's so fascinating what our agreement is. We all have an agreement with our spiritual team, how much we can perceive with our inner eye and outer eyes, and what we want to do with it. Yeah, so I just wanted to pop that in about 2 minutes ago.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
And what a great reflection Chris received by that manifesting for him. I mean, he must have been ready to celebrate. Like, finally, I can vindicate myself.
Absolutely. And since that happened, his life has exploded. The 5 years of being demonized, and they wanted to cart him off and put him in a mental asylum and take his children away from him. And now he's got presidents calling him up. Like, it's so fascinating how his life changed. But yeah, he calls that energy the lady. That's his name for it, the lady. But it's that same principle, that divine creation, the mother of creation. Yeah, called many different things in many different traditions, but that same energy, golden energy. She was gold, he said, Yeah, so it's beautiful, and we can all access it if we choose to. If we choose to. We're all a part of that energy. Yeah, and I think as women, when we incarnate as women on this earth, we are to wield that energy, to like utilize that energy, that creative energy, psychic energy, intuitive energy, creative energy. Yeah.
But just as women, or do the men get to tap into that?
Oh, the men absolutely
divine
get to tap
feminine too,
Absolutely. There's no separation in source, we separate male, female.
Yeah.
It's just the aspect of the whole, because we're both male and female. But it's that aspect of the whole, that feminine principle that has been so suppressed over the last few thousand years because of the patriarchy. And that aspect is rising. And it's coming in the form of many things, but it's coming in the form of making people more aware of their psychic abilities, maybe people more aware of their nurturing side, that connective side, that mothering side. But that's in both men and women. Yeah, it's not exclusive to women. But I think that when we choose to come in as women, like we're a gang of women here, we're a part of bringing that energy more to the forefront, more into the world, and asking people to recognize it within themselves, either whoever they are, male, female. Golden feminine creative principle. Leslie, what do you want to say to all that?
I agree. I feel like we incarnate as women in this earth walk for this journey to bring through the divine feminine aspect of God, because we all, like you said, Karen, carry the divine masculine and feminine inside. And how that actually bridges to the divine harmonic is that balance. The balance, when we find that balance between the two, we just become the presence of that unity consciousness. But we all carry it, and everyone has gifts, and everyone has the ability to access those gifts, and the world is ready for you. So whoever is feeling, I just want to share this, if you don't mind, if you're feeling like you have a gift you want to bring forward, please do. The world is waiting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's try this little number here.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm a little big. We're going to scoot that back. And that, how does that tie into your, like, the being and the doing? Like, because there's the combination of that. I do have to do, and then I get to be, right?
Well, I feel like when we take more time to be, and understand that the doing comes when it's necessary. Like, there are certain things I have to do. I have to put a website up. I need to let people know I'm here. Otherwise, will some people find me? Yeah. but maybe the ones that would have connected with me through the website wouldn't find me. So there are certain things that we need to do when we kind of take a step back and see where we're putting our energy, where our attention is going, where our energy ends up flowing. We probably find a number of areas where we're exerting a lot of energy and doing where maybe isn't so necessary. And we can just relax a little bit more. And as we relax, we have the ability to experience more of who we truly are, just merely by relaxing. But,
Yeah.
sometimes relaxing is a tall order for us,
Oh, definitely in this Western world. I can attest to that. But what I'm getting to then is, as I relax, going back to something else you said earlier, what I am seeking is seeking me. And so if I pause and take that breath and relax into it, then maybe it can catch me, or I'll be in the mode to listen. Is that kind of tying in like that,
Absolutely. It's when we're still, when we're open to receiving, like Karin had shared and I had shared about being in the right state of being and in the right timing on my journey for the golden ones to appear and for the divine harmonic to reveal itself to me, for the heart of creation to come to me. So it was when I was relaxing and just being that these monumental moments and experiences revealed themselves.
Okay. That's so beautiful. But do I have to? There are these people, and I say, do I have to? But I know more people than not that say, oh, I can't meditate. Meditating for somebody with ADHD is the worst, or somebody who's been through traumatic experiences. So don't have me do a meditation. And I think they get in their heads and they get too worked up over it has to be a certain process, a certain programming steps in, right? I have to do it a certain way to make it happen. And I don't think it's as complicated as that. I find it's not. I can get it while I'm doing the dishes. I can get it when I'm just relaxing under this gorgeous sycamore tree I have in my backyard,
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
I agree. It's different for everyone. Whatever works, whatever allows us to be in a space where we can connect, where we can open a little bit to receive. And it can be anything: walking, running, laying in the grass, letting the sun shine on our face, doing the dishes, doing the wash, whatever it is, and it'll be different for everyone. And again, whatever works. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Carton, before you say something, I was in a meditation, in a big course class kind of training thing. And a woman stood up and said, after people had shared their experience in this meditation, and she's like, I think I'm doing it wrong. It wasn't the same for me. Like, you guys all saw this and that, and mine was totally different. And, I stepped in and I was like, I know from experience, because I used to think that, no, everybody's gets to be different because we're all so different.
Exactly.
And they're all different frequencies that are affecting my frequency. So go ahead, Carton. What have you got?
Well, I was just going to say, we've actually run out of time where the show has finished. And I'd just like to thank you both. It's been gorgeous meeting you, Leslie. You're doing amazing work in the world. And kudos to you for having the courage to put yourself out there and make yourself known. Because I've been coaching New World teachers for 25 years now. And the biggest hurdle, they can bring through the transmissions, but the biggest hurdle they have is sharing that with others, putting themselves out publicly. And Kristen is doing the same thing. And now she's hosting the show, Elevate show with me. And now ATP Media, she's been talking about putting herself more out there. And it takes guts and it takes courage. And just like Chris Bledsoe, when he was sharing what he was experiencing, and he was getting, from the Bible Belt, so much ridicule, that fear that we're going to be not accepted by our peers and our family and all that sort of stuff. I've got to say, we're in different times now than when Chris was doing it, or even when I was doing it 25, 30 years ago. We are in different times because of the internet. It's more accepted, but it does take courage And yeah, so congratulations to you for getting that out there and sharing your goldenness with the world.
Well, and I just want to share that when we were at the expo, there was just a peace and a calm that Leslie just, and it wasn't just in her corner, it emanated. And I believe that's, I kept looking over towards her and catching her eye. It really is an experience to just have you in person as well. So I just hope that transmitted through this chat today as well.
This has been delightful, Karen. It's been an honor to meet you, and Kristen, to spend this time with both of you sharing. It's just been delightful, and thank you so much for creating this space and blazing a trail, Karen, for those of us who are coming after you. It's so important.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. And didn't Kristen do an amazing job? Everyone,
Yes.
leave your
Yes,
comments.
Kristen!
Because she's been talking about this, and I've thrown her in the deep end. So this is her second time being the interviewer, the host, and like gauging the conversation. And I just sat back and let her do it. I did pipe in because I did have things to say. But at some stage, I'll not even be here, and so you'll be all on your
No, you'll always be here, Karen.
No. Well, it depends how much commitment you want to make to this, because being a podcast host is a huge commitment. It's a lot of work, and it's mostly unpaid, but it's amazing because you get to meet incredible people like Leslie, and you get to have fabulous conversations, and the live audience is always so great to interact with the audience. I mean, it is a lot of fun, and it does change your life. Although I haven't made money from it, a lot of people do who have monetized their program. I've never managed to do that, but it is a joy. So thank you so much, you two. You're just
thank you so much.
A blessing. And Kristen, do you want to end the show? We're a minute over.
Just please, thank you again so much, Leslie. What a pleasure to get to know you. You're like my own little golden orb. And go to the divineharmonic.com. We didn't even get into the fact that how that was free and available in the world of requesting a website, and how aligned is that? So thank you. We are on United Public Radio with Accentuate the Positive Media, Karen Station. And I don't know all the call letters, but there it is, 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM, United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And thank you. Have a good, lovely, blessed day. Do I hit the button?